Hello.
Hey man, how's it going?
I'm alright, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good.
What have you been up to?
I've sat in my butt for a bit.
Hey, this is
Did
very
some,
similar to last week.
I did some driving, much like last week. Spoke to Jen for a bit on
Hey,
my deliveries,
cool.
but I didn't meet many other people, so it
No?
was kind of lackluster compared to last week.
Awesome. Hey.
Thank you. What about yourself? Anything new?
No, not really. I've been playing Diablo 3.
Cool. Cool.
That's been about it.
Cool. I've realised that my computer can't handle anything, so I can't play also anything. So
That's a shame. So welcome audience to Box Talks with Unboxed.
I'm really glad that you keep saying it.
Aye.
Like, something twister.
Hey.
Hey.
A maybe weekly podcast where we might talk about stuff, including but not limited to games and
Stuff.
other stuff.
Games and game-like paraphernalia.
Aye. And like our business
Yeah, sure.
and how that's done.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, just other stuff and things and that.
Sure. Stuff and things.
Aye. And this week we've got a special guest.
Yeah.
Mr. Kawaji.
Well,
Hello, Yej.
hey.
Aloha. Hey, I'm good. I am very well. How are you all?
I'm good, thanks.
Managing.
All meaning just the two of you.
Aye.
Yeah, we're good.
I think all is a.
Well, you can include the audience, right? Like, hello, audience, how are you? Oh,
I think that makes it all, right?
Hey.
All the people that I haven't seen for I don't know how many weeks now.
It's been some years now.
It feels like years, doesn't it?
It really does.
A long ass time, yeah.
It's really been stretching.
Yeah. So, is there anything happening in the tabletop world that you would like to talk about?
Yes.
Came across any news?
Yes, and board game news. Shut Up and Sit Down released a video recently about how to play board games on Tabletop Simulator on Steam.
Nice.
Which I thought was pretty awesome of them.
Very nice.
So
we'll link that. We'll link that in the description.
Nice plug. Hope that they sponsor us for it as well. I don't know.
Shut up and sit down if you're watching. A sponsorship when they go amiss.
We will happily play games with or for you.
Aye.
Shut Up and Sit Down recommends Meeples Anonymous.
Hey, that'd be sauce.
There we go. Board Game Geek released a social distancing. A distancing.
Nice.
It's one for the books. Social distancing gaming guide, which is a list of games that you can play over stuff like Zoom, video conferencing software like Zoom. But it's worth a check out. We'll also link that in the description. And the doobly-doo.
Sure.
Other news I came across was the Ikoria pre-release is happening soon on the 15th of May for all you Magic lovers.
But you can still play like the full set on Magic Arena and on Magic Online.
Aye.
Magic Arena is free, but Magic Online you need to pay for. So.
Sure. We'll also be like doing we're kind of regular thing for pre-releases. Like we'll have the stock for sale and we'll be delivering to whoever wants to take part. Like, how does the at-home pre-release thing work, Blair?
So you would just log on to Magic Arena, as far as I believe. Like, I actually read into it that much, but
Aye.
Magic Arena, you would redeem whatever code we send out, and you'll get free stuff. It may be like
swag,
card art or deck art or something like that.
All right, cool.
And maybe like free cards, probably. I don't know. guessing. That's what they've done so far up until now, so
Cool.
it's a solid guess. A guesstimate.
Well, awesome. I didn't really come across any other news, but I did come across a couple of games that I really liked the look of. One of them was Tapestry by Jamie Stegmaier.
Yeah, that looks nice.
It looks awesome, right?
Yeah.
Right? You're trying to create the civilization with the most storied history.
Nice.
And there's like 4 advancement tracks that you're working towards, and it's science, technology, exploration, and military.
Cool. Is that a Euro or Ameritrash?
Aye, totally. There's a kind of central map where that's like kind of hex tiled, and you can explore and expand your territory, I would imagine. And you can like...
Can you exterminate?
I mean, maybe. There's like the military track would seem to indicate that you could just like send tanks in and exterminate folks. Aye.
Jeez.
But you can like focus in on the military side or the science or the exploration. And there's a few different ways to win in that sense. And like they've got unique painted landmark miniatures, which is like absolutely stunning. Aye, that looks
so
cool.
was it set? Like, is there a...
Off, I think.
Well, that's somewhere.
Aye. I'm not sure exactly.
Just in case it was like niche, like...
It's just like kind of ancient civilization type thing, building, or like no necessarily ancient, but a civilization builder type thing. Yeah, it looks beautiful, and what little I've read of it, it does sound like a really interesting game to play. The other one I found was Watergate, which is a 2-player game. One player plays the Nixon administration, and the other player plays the Washington Post.
Wow.
It might sound really boring, but
that does sound
that sounds fucking brilliant.
And the board is like a cork board thing with like red string going everywhere, and it's all like kind of laid it in a red hex. And the object of the game for the Nixon administration is to just avoid being impeached.
Jeez.
And obviously the object of the game for the Washington Post is to gather enough evidence to impeach him. It looks great. I'm well into it.
What a brilliant theme. That's so good.
Aye, totally. But like this week we're talking about the Century series, which is a trilogy of games for 2 to 4 players.
It's a trilogy of farmland creatures.
So I like 2 to 4 players, like 30 to 45 minutes per game, I think. And it's by Plan B Games and designed by Emerson Matsuchi.
Nice.
And it's largely about kind of spice trading. How do you feel about the Century games then?
I think it's fun. It's super nice to have like an engine builder, but it doesn't. It masquerades as something different. Like it feels like it's resource generation, but it's just build a wee engine and you upgrade all your cubes into different coloured cubes, and get more victory points doing that. And I think that is those are my favourite types of games to play, where you build an engine and then utilise it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, the first one was pretty much just that.
Yeah,
and that's all it was. So, I found that really fun. It's the same thing as Splendor. You get your little gem factory running, and you start getting more gems with Spice Road. You get your little spice factory running. You get more spice. You upgrade your yellows to your reds to your greens to your browns, and it just gets more efficient as you go on. And then someone wins. And that's it over.
I've
so
never.
It's a really neat little package of a game.
Yeah, I've never played like the second or third one. So what's been added to make it different?
I mean, they're all very different games. Like they've all got the same color cubes in them, and
right.
and and sort of the same iconography for being able to change those cubes, whether you're upgrading it or whether you're trading them or swapping them out or just gaining some new ones. But the way you go about scoring points in the 3 games is pretty different.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like the first one is more or less just adding stuff to your deck of cards, and using that deck of cards you can like collect, or trade or upgrade your species. Whereas like in the second one, you've got an actual map as the board, and you're like moving your boat around to different ports, and you need to create an outpost, or you need to build an outpost on a merchant tile, in order to use the action on that merchant tile.
Pretty different.
Yeah, so instead of just buying a card that lets you play that card to upgrade stuff, you're sending your boat out to these little tiles on the board, and then you've got to build an outpost on it to use the upgrade thing on that tile.
I see.
And then there's certain tiles will have victory points on it, so once you've got enough cubes of the right whatever, you send your boat out to the wee place to claim the victory point tile by cashing in some of your spicy cubes. But it's a game of spicy cubes. I don't know, like the second one just gave a lot more scope for being able to get in each other's way. You know, I mean, the first one, you might take a card that someone else had their eye on, and they'd be like, curses, you took the card that I wanted, but I'll just take this card instead. With Eastern Wonders, you could plop your little trading post down on a tile and make it that much more expensive for someone else to get access to that tile. Because if there's an outpost on it, then you've got to spend extra spice to put your own outpost on it. If someone's boat's there, you've got to pay them spice to use the tile. So yeah, it gets pretty costly, and so you can really get in each other's way a bit more.
Yeah, sure.
It's like almost, you can almost kind of create a monopoly on certain actions. Like,
right. Cool.
Like making it really difficult for people to upgrade their red cubes up to the yellow. I think it goes like red, yellow, green, brown.
There's yellow, red, green, brown.
Yellow, red. Cool.
Yeah. Yellow's the lowest one.
So if you can like stop people from upgrading their cheapest spice, or
their mustard to their ketchup,
then you can really like kind of tear through it. What is the spices in the first one?
Jeez.
I know it ends in saffron.
Saffron, yeah. There's
yellow one's turmeric.
Yellow's turmeric.
Yeah, you get turmeric, and the red one's saffron.
Cardamom is the other one in the first one, right?
Yes, and cardamom and cinnamon.
Then the second one's like ginger, something else. Tea?
I don't know what the red one is. Tea's one of them, and is it chilies?
Maybe.
Chilies, tea. I don't know.
Ginger. Cool. It's nice that like all 3 games give you like a different selection of spices, and it's like a completely unnecessary and extraneous kind of like feature or flavor into the game, but I quite like it. Something interesting happens with the third one as well, because the third one's called A New World, which is spice trading in the Americas.
Nice.
And it adds in like a worker placement kind of mechanism in it as well. But you can also incorporate either or both of the previous games
cool.
to create, like, I think if you've got the full set, there is 6 games you can play. Because you can have like each one by themselves, and then A New World with Spice Road, with Eastern Wonders, or with Spice Road and Eastern Wonders.
And you can play the first 2 together as well. So there's 7 games.
Can you play the first 2 together?
Yeah. They've got in the box for Eastern Wonders. There's a separate wee rule sheet for a game they call From Sand to Sea, And that's the version that you play with Spice Road and Eastern Wonders combined.
Oh, cool. Nice. I don't think they did that.
Which I did try once, and it kind of burnt my brain a wee bit, and I never got around to going back to.
Nice.
It must be quite difficult when you've got like 8 different like spices that you need to like think about, and then like if you combine all 3 games, you get 12 spices that you need to like keep a track of.
Like that.
All in 4 colours.
They just keep it with 4 spices, regardless of the version of the game you're playing.
It's 4 coloured cubes.
Yeah.
Aye, good. That's handy.
You could just choose whether you want to call it, turmeric or corn or whatever.
Red.
Sure.
Yeah.
Red, yellow, green, and brown.
Mustard, ketchup, HP, and
wasabi
and salsa verde.
Salsa verde.
Like one of the things I really like about like I've only played the first 2, but the production quality of the actual games seems to be really consistent. They've always got like it's always nice wee wooden cubes, which I much prefer to like plastic,
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I think probably everybody does, but the production quality is really good on them, and the design is solid.
Like the first game was really simple, but like that simplicity makes it enjoyable.
Aye.
And obviously I've not played the second or third, so I kind of attest to like their simplicity. But like the fact that all you really have in the box is a deck of cards, a bunch of cubes of 4 different colours, and 4 bowls, and then you're good to go. It's perfect.
Aye, it's really nice.
I think the first one is, I don't know, I'll go out on a limb and say it's probably the most popular of the 3 of them, because it's just so incredibly accessible. Like, I mean, anyone could pick that game up and play it. It's so easy to understand. The iconography on it is really simple. You show someone the second one, and there's a bit of a, I mean, I play a lot of board games. The first time I set up Eastern Wonders, it just looked like a Jackson Pollock on my table. It was like this riot of colour and numbers, and it's like, I mean, it's really simple. Once you actually start playing it, it's not complicated at all, but it looks far more complicated, and I think that probably puts a lot more people off.
Sure.
I preferred it. Like I thought it was a better game than the first one. The first one I've played a good few times now, and there's not enough to it to keep me interested.
Sure.
It's like a light version of Splendor.
Yeah, I mean, even Splendor, I've played Splendor a ton, and I'm kind of done with that game now. But I think that's because I've played it a ton.
Sure.
I'd say I prefer Splendor to Century Spice Road.
Yeah.
As just a simple engine builder, and that's all it is. But I'm kind of done with both games now.
Yeah, sure. That's fair.
I just like a little bit more meat in my games. There's too much spice and not enough meat.
Like an over seasoned chicken nugget.
Like, do you want some chicken with your salt?
Just a touch, please. Just a sprinkling of chicken, please. Thank you.
But I do really like Eastern Wonders, and like you say, it's a similar idea to Spice Road. Like the actions, or most of the actions, are pretty much the same. Like trade these cubes for these cubes,
Yeah.
But it does have that extra element of blocking people off or making them pay you to use your or a tile that you've already claimed and stuff like that. Like there's more to sink your teeth into with Eastern Wonders.
Yeah.
And I hope there's more again to sink your teeth into with New World.
Oh, there definitely is.
Aye.
I don't think it's more complicated than Eastern Wonders. It's just a different type of game. So instead of, I don't know even what kind of game you would really call Eastern Wonders, because it's kind of got that. It's got elements of worker placement about it, and that you send your boat out to a certain place and you can block people off from going there. Mm-hmm. So that's got that kind of worker placement vibe. But A New World is definitely worker placement. You get your 12 wee tiny mini meeples that you can send out to the different spaces on the board. Some of them start off locked down, but you can explore and unlock those areas. And yeah, I mean, we played a game of it a couple of days ago, and three players. It was really enjoyable. Really easy to learn. Didn't really take us any time to get going at all. I spent 10 minutes reading the one sheet rules that it comes with, and then nice. That was it's the same as all the other ones. So that's it. That's the rules for a new world, just front and back.
That's great.
And then they've got the same thing for all the different variations, just one bit of card with all the rules on it. 10 minutes to read, and we started playing, and we completely got it, completely understood it, and that's me and my, got to get this right, my 12-year-old and my 9-year-old.
Sure.
And they,
are you sure?
Yes, pretty sure. And they both understood it completely as well.
Good.
Yeah, so really easy to play and way more fun than the first one, because again, there's just a little bit more to do. You're getting in people's way. It's great. You can send your meeples out to a certain space to perform the action. Again, upgrade your cubes, exchange your cubes, whatever. But then you don't get your people back until you take a turn to completely rest. And then you get to swipe all your meeples back off the board and bring them back to you. Awesome. So just like in the first one, you have to take that turn to rest and get your cards back into your hand.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, but with your meeples. But if someone else chooses to go to a space you've already been to, they have to pay an extra meeple to go there if you're there already. So it costs them a little bit extra, and it also kicks your meeples back to you. So you get those meeples back for free. If you take spaces that you know other people are going to want, you can get this wee flow going where you get loads of guys back without having to spend a turn getting them back.
That's really clever.
Which just makes you, I don't know, like it gave me this really nice feeling of efficiency where Tony, my youngest, took a totally commanding lead and started getting loads of victory points cards, and we were like, oh no, he's totally going to run away with it. But I kept on getting them to kick my meeples back to me, and they're running out of dudes. It was great.
Yeah, nice.
I just felt really nice.
That sounds really good. That's quite a clever mechanism as well. Like if you rewarding you for playing strategically.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, or just that sort of efficient gameplay, you know, which is nice. It's nice when you get it right.
Yeah. In a new world, do you still have like your wheelbarrow where you can only have 10 cubes at any one time? Because that's something that's in the first two. And that's like a management aspect of it, like kind of deciding what cubes you really want in your wheelbarrow at any one time, and that means sometimes like having to get rid of a few reds to get like more yellows to perform the action that you've got in your hand or the action that you're aiming for on the board in Eastern Windows. And a New World's got the same thing.
It does have the same thing, yeah. I think of the three of them, the version of that I liked the most was probably Eastern Wonders, because you got that bonus that you could claim to expand your cargo hold on your ship and get extra space for cubes.
Yeah.
And I just felt awesome. You're like, oh, I've been limited to 10 spaces the whole game, and now I've got 13 spaces. What can I do with this? So yeah, it does have that same thing. You've got 10 gaps on your player board, but I don't know. I mean, like, with just one playthrough, I'm kind of reticent to make any sweeping judgments about it.
Sure.
It seemed unnecessary in this one. At no point did any of the three of us really feel like we were running out of space on our player boards. Right. And I don't know. I get the feeling that maybe some of the spaces that you can take on the main board for upgrading cubes are just not terribly appealing. They're not really efficient and necessary a lot of the time. You can just take the simple actions to claim a couple of cubes of the type that you want and really need. Send a few meeples down to collect one brown cube instead of working towards that engine building where you're getting a couple of yellows and then using the clever actions, you're changing that for 2 reds, changing those 2 reds back into 6 yellows, changing those 6 yellows into, because the first 2 games very, very much work that way, where you get this snowballing effect, and you end up with tons of cubes, or you could end up with tons of cubes. None of us really went down a route where we were getting tons of cubes in this game. We were just aiming for exactly the cubes that we needed for the cards that were out, the victory point cards that were out and available. Yeah, so I don't know if it didn't seem like the 10 spaces on the player board was really that constraining in this game.
Right.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see, like, once I start combining it with the other games, whether that becomes a thing again. But it just as a standalone game, it didn't really seem like a big deal.
Yeah, sure. I like that. With each installment of the Century series, they seem to have like almost like a kind of iterative process where it, like a iterative design process where they've started off with a really simple and like solid game, and then they've iterated it and added some more meat onto the bones, and then like done the same thing again. It's like they've taken the core concept and just built upon it and seeing what more they can add, what other kind of mechanisms they can add in to make it more interesting.
I think it's like clever game design when you're like progressing. Like you took your simple idea and go, right, this works. How do we make it better? You add a moving mechanic in it, which you never really needed before. And you go, cool, like that works, and that's a good game. What can we add now? Well, let's go with like area control or whatever, and maybe strip back on mechanics that is impactful before, or were maybe too impactful before. Let's strip that down so we've got a cleaner version of the game. I think it's just good design.
Yeah. So, if you had to give a rating for each of the series out of 10 meeples, how many meeples out of 10 would you give Spice Road?
Spice Road, I'd probably give like a solid 7.
I was thinking that. I was thinking a solid 7.
Yeah, like it's a good engine builder, but I think there's better engine builders out there. It's clean looking. It's simple.
Yeah, there's few rules.
Yeah, there could be more, but like sometimes less is just better. Yeah, I'll give it a solid 7.
Nice. Yes.
Yeah, I'd say a 7 sounds right for Spice Road. That's what I've had it. Yeah, I've had it at 7 on Board Game Geek for a while now. So
sure.
Cool.
Yeah,
what about Eastern Wonders? I realised you've not played it, Blair, but
a sparkling 12 out of 10. No, I don't
12
know.
out of 10 maples. Wow.
I'll defer to your better judgment, mate. This one.
I agree that Eastern Wonders is like a more kind of rounded game, like a better rounded game, and there's more meat on the bones. So I'd probably give it like an 8.5.
Ooh. That's a big jump.
I really enjoyed Eastern Wonders. I thought it was a really solid and entertaining game.
I don't know. Like I've just got there's so many games I prefer to the Century series, and I'm more likely to play. But if I'm keeping Spice Road in its slot as a wee solid spicy 7, then I think Eastern Wonders. I don't like doing decimals. I'm not going to do decimals. It's not going to happen.
Okay.
Sure. You gotta get half a meeple.
If you half a meeple, that's meeple murder, right? And it's not done.
Sure.
In saying that, one of the little pink meeples from A New World did split in half the moment we took it. A wee factory defect, and he just parted.
Oh man!
But now I've technically got 2 little thin. So yeah, sure. I'm kind of in between 7 and 8 with Eastern Wonders.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, like for me, if a game's going to be 8, it's got to be a game that I want to play all the time. You know,
Sure.
that I would
Yeah.
like those are like the upper echelon games for me. 7 is like that's a really cool game. I really like it. But it doesn't really stay at the front of my mind all that much.
No,
Yeah,
sure.
that's fair.
I'd play it if someone else wanted to, you know.
Very cool. Like I think I'm quite generous with ratings. Like I would usually save like 9s and 10s for stuff like you say, a game that I would want to play all the time, or a game that I really like revered, you know, as like a game that's above and beyond.
Yeah, like the pinnacle of board game design.
Yeah.
The best game in existence. I've got 110.
Yeah.
That's the way I do it. Yeah, because I think I've got somewhere in the region of 250 odd games. So like 110 and about 10 to 15 are rate at 9.
Right. What's your 10?
And I just try and keep the ratio of the
What's your 10?
TI4.
What's your 10?
TI4.
Sure.
It's like I don't know, man. Like I know, like as a piece of game design, it's certainly not the cleanest thing in the world. It's this big, sprawling, crazy game, but I love it. I absolutely love that game.
Sure. I don't blame you for that at all. Like that's like TI4's, I think, an achievement of a game. Just because it is so like sprawling, and there's so many moving parts, and there's so much you can actually do when you're playing it. Like there's so many roads to take, and having that still be a cohesive experience for all players involved is quite an achievement, I think.
Yeah.
I
like the endurance nature of it as well, man. I like just being in that heavy zone where you are so focused on a thing for like 8, 9, 10 hours. Is exhausting and amazing at the same time.
It's really rewarding once you like get to the other end. You're like, that's 10 hours of playing that. I'd do it again.
Yeah. Round 2, who's in?
Just give me an hour to set up.
It's been 10 hours for round 1.
Sure.
No one's even scored any points yet. What the?
You get any 10s, Blair?
I was just thinking, like, I think I've got a couple of close like games that could be a 10, but I don't know if I can give them a 10 yet. I think the closest that I've got is Dominion. Like, Dominion's just one of my favourite types of games.
Like just base Dominion? Or are you including like everything?
If I include everything, then there's some good stuff there. There's also some bad stuff, but I think like Dominion has been improved by some of the expansions. So like Dominion's probably my closest to a 10. I don't know if it is a 10, but it's certainly a game that I revere and would play any given time. If somebody offered a game of Dominion, I'm absolutely in there.
So you're stingy with your ratings then? If you've got like one game that you think might be a 10, you might not give it a 10.
No, well, I think I'm just like pragmatic when it comes to my ratings. Like,
game is good enough.
Like every game's got its problems, right? So can I get an imperfect game of 10? I don't know, but.
So Blair's stingy with his ratings. Yeah, just got 110. I've got like 30. So, okay.
I think Captain Sonar is also a close.
I was going to say Captain Sonar definitely deserves an honourable mention.
It depends on who you're playing with.
This also came up in all podcasts that we've made of Bucks.
Because it's real bloody good.
As one of the most enjoyable games I've ever played. That's a solid 9. Yeah. If I did decimals, that might be higher.
Yeah.
A 9.1.
Maybe a 9.1.
I really love real-time games, stuff like Space Cadets Dice Duel and Escape, where you try to escape the temple. I love real-time, like manic dice rolling, and I love games like that. They're great. They're so much fun, especially with like a group of 5 other people. You know,
they can be so much fun. They can also be stressful as all hell.
Aye. Absolutely.
A lot of the time, I just want a wee chill out. Give me a nice wee pastoral Euro.
Sure.
Oh, I don't get like my favorite category of games is definitely like Euro games, like something you can sit down and sink your teeth into over a cup of coffee. Is marvelous. I love games like that.
That's where TI4 is a total outlier for me, because I'm the same. I love Euro games. I love those sort of deep, thinky, strategic, but chilled, don't get in each other's faces kind of thing. And but TI4 sort of transcends that a little bit for me. And, and it's a massive, crazy war game that is still my favourite game.
Sure.
Nice.
So when I was playing D&D on Thursday, one of my players was like wondering like how we felt about moving everything online and like the pros and cons, how everything's like working and stuff like that. So I thought I'd ask the question like how do you feel about moving all the like RPGs so far online and like the pros and cons?
I think for the most part it's worked really well. Obviously, like asking everybody to like keep on top of like booking into games every week and staying on top of like the scheduling aspect is a lot to ask of people. And so like I've noticed that like some games are carrying on like with the booking stuff happening,
right?
Which is like absolutely fine. But it means we kind of track who's in what games and stuff like that, and it means the DMs are having to guess as well. I guess all the DMs will have group chats with people and stuff anyway. But I mean, in terms of like being a part of a couple of games online and the experience I've had of going through the process of booking your slot, getting reminded, and then joining through the links that get sent out. Like I think the flow is great.
Yeah, good.
Right.
I found it. Well, I find that like the booking software really like nice on both ends as DM and as player. Because obviously as a DM you get to see who's going to turn up.
Yeah.
But as a player, like getting a reminder like half an hour before like the game starts, like a lot of time, even though we're pretty much stuck in the house constantly, it's nice like going, oh god, like I need to like run and get everything set up, and I've got enough time to do that. But I'm usually busy doing something somewhere.
Yeah, sure.
So getting like a reminder, like, hey, you don't need to travel to this game, but you do need to get to your computer now. That's
sure.
very nice.
Right.
And then like playing with Roll20's been a bit of a battle since like we've never really been used to the system, but
Roll20 I find like in terms of building games on it, like as a DM, I find it quite difficult, and I find myself like battering my head against it quite a lot. No, physically, I don't headbutt my laptop.
Sure.
But there's been a few things where I've been trying to get a particular setup of stuff on a Roll20 page, and it's just not working for me, and it ends up being quite frustrating. But for the most part, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll say that it's pretty good. It's not great. No great.
It's not the same as being like at a table with everybody.
Well, no.
And like it's nice as to see everybody's faces on like Roll20 and stuff. I do prefer like being there in person and chatting.
Of course. I think most people would agree, especially like most of our community. I wouldn't like to speak for them, but I think most would prefer to be around a table. Obviously, provided that there wasn't a risk of getting a virus.
Sure.
Yesh, what do you think? How do you think the RPGs have been gone?
Yeah, I think they've been going good. I think there's always going to be a little bit of it's always going to be a little bit awkward when you've got a group of players who are sort of starting to, you get that phase with a D&D game or any other RPG where the players are starting to bed in to the group a little bit and starting to build up a little bit of shorthand with each other. You start getting to the point where you can read each other's tone of voice really well and pick up on little body language hints, and it makes it easier for everyone to be included.
Yeah.
And I think you switch suddenly to a virtual setting and a remote setting, and that all gets reset.
Yeah.
and everyone's suddenly like back to that kind of breaking the ice.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Part of the relationship where everyone's just trying to bed in again.
Aye.
Yeah, so it can be a little bit awkward, but by and large, it's been pretty smooth. You know,
I think like most of the issues that I've been having with like playing online is like hardware and software issues where like somebody's voice crackles and it's usually the DM who's talking and then their mic drops, then cuts back in. You're like, what was, like, you need to say that again, and then they tell you again, and then some other part like drops in. And you're like this is horrific.
Technical issues, they seem to be one of the biggest hurdles.
So like that can really take the tone out of like some of the like campaigns or whatever. Like just a technical issue, and you need to like resolve that, and then suddenly you've lost all the flavour for this eerie moment that you were trying to set up.
It breaks the immersion.
It can definitely spoil the mood. That being said, you can do like a bit more with like the kind of visual aids and stuff with Roll20. Like if I was DMing around a table, I probably wouldn't have like half the amount of resources like that I have on Roll20, like running Cyberpunk. I wouldn't have the same kind of level of like battle maps and stuff.
Like a cityscape and stuff like that, like neon lights here, there, everywhere.
Totally, like a lot of that does really help create a mood and a feel to the type of game you're wanting to run, and the music as well. Like if I was running a Cthulhu game, like I would make a lot more use of the music feature of Roll20. Like
sure,
I would go out my way to find really creepy music for like to import into that, and because everybody's going to be wearing like headphones, that kind of amplifies that experience. But I think I would make a lot more use of kind of atmosphere.
Sure.
Roll20 because everybody is like probably wearing headphones. There's a greater level of immersion than if you were sitting around the table just with a Bluetooth speaker.
Of course.
I think use of the images as well is really powerful in Roll20. I think it's important that you still, as a DM, give people those lovely word pictures, you know.
Yeah.
And that's actually something I think you're particularly good at, Ross, is that you're really good with your descriptions. I think a lot of the stuff that you prepare beforehand to describe a place or a setting are phenomenal. Like, you're a good writer.
Oh.
I would not have said any of those things.
And if you... That's just mean. And if you end up relying too heavily on images that you can post up in Roll20 or on the Discord chat or whatever, then you could just let that side of it go and go, oh, you know, you're in this place, it looks like this.
Yeah.
And then just send a picture. But being able to do that along with nice wordy descriptions is really awesome, like just to solidify what it is you're talking about. Whereas we've been in games before where something gets sent over the WhatsApp group chat and everyone suddenly has to whip out their phones and check for the handout that's been given out.
Yeah.
Well, everyone's already sitting in front of a screen when you're doing it remotely, so it doesn't have that same break.
Yeah.
In the immersion, you know, everyone's there. They've got the Discord chat up. They've got the Roll20 up. You've got the image right there, and it's a lot smoother.
Yeah.
So that's one benefit.
There's no an immediate disconnect from the table where
everyone stop playing, everyone get your phone out and check it.
Sure.
I think there could be quite a strain on like DMs though, like trying to create that kind of image library to use in games. It's like, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, like, it's definitely hard to find the right image sometimes.
Not even that. Like, what would usually be like 2 hours of prep when you're writing a story and like, right, I'll chuck in like these monsters and if they go in this direction, I can add in, some flavor text here. Like now you need to like find an image, like slot it in. You need to find relevant tokens that look similar to what you're looking for. Yeah. If you forget that you had like set up a random encounter, then you need to like in the moment go, oh god, I need to find a bugbear right now, and then start like dragging everything over. Like, hey, this was created instantaneously. I'm in this. Right. Like sometimes that's a lot. Like there's a lot of like extra prep that needs to go in so that you can build the map.
I think some Google foo is sometimes required. Like I'll tell you this. Like I think I tell you, Blair. But last Cyberpunk game I was running, the party was invading a warehouse. Blair, the netrunner, had jacked into a system. And while the whole party was on the roof, like strategizing about what to do for the next kind of part of the encounter, I found online, downloaded, imported into Roll20 an alarm MP3 so that I could like.
That was done on the fly.
On the fly. It's the best. It's the best piece of DMing I think I've ever done.
That is pretty impressive.
I'm very proud of myself for it. I'm not gonna
lie. And it was seamless as well. Because you were still like narrating like the scenario, what was happening, like letting people do their actions.
I was also listening to a whole bunch of alarm sounds and thinking that's not right. Next one, because I scrolled through like 4 pages of alarm sounds on this website.
Jeez. Just get an alarm. Right. I know there was a good soundbite.
Totally. I'm glad I found it.
I like to think that you're like hovering over the play button as it is still downloading, and this download has got 5 seconds before it breaks all immersion, and then you just clicked, hoping that it was downloaded in time, and that's like the precise time that it was like, yep, like totally. Good to go. Press yes.
The stars aligned, and it just happened. But I think. Have like some of that kind of on the fly thinking is a lot easier to do in Roll20, where like your players aren't necessarily going to see you like scrolling frantically through your phone or whatever. Again,
sure.
Like you can be pretty casual about it and just like you can have a different tab open on your browser and be looking for stuff to utilize on the fly. I think that's a lot easier on Roll20.
No, I think you may be right.
Yeah. There was one thing I didn't say last week, which I wanted to was, just one word that was thank.
Not even plural, just singular.
And I just wanted to say like thank you so much to like the community, because like everybody has like contributed so much. And like helped us out like an insane amount through this quarantine and through us being closed and stuff, and like people who are like still looking to buy things from us and participating in Friday Night Magics every week. Like that's really a massive help to the business.
Everybody that like spends the money for a pack, like I'm not just spending on the pack, you're like helping the cafe like progress through this
and survive. Yeah.
So it's been really, really nice.
Aye, so thank you very much to everybody.
Thank you, Yesh, for being our guest.
Aye.
Oh, man.
This week.
It was a pleasure. It was a total pleasure.
Pleasure was all ours.
We'll try and get you on again. If we can fit you in, we've got a whole lineup ready, but we'll try and squeeze you in somewhere.
Somewhere in between Robert Downey Jr. and
the Hemsworth brothers are coming in.
Yeah,
so
we've got to get those guys in first, probably.
Well, what are you doing next week, just in case? I
would think that with the state of the world, they've probably got a bit of free time in their hands, right?
Probably.
You never know. You might be able to get them on.
Did you see the Parks and Rec reunion?
No,
it was a 30-minute episode where they were on a Zoom call. Nice. And it was Leslie Note, or Amy Powler, is that her? Powler. Yeah. She played Leslie Note, addressing everybody as if time had passed, and they were trying to figure out what they were all doing during the pandemic. It was, that's awesome. I've not watched it, but it sounds amazing.
Aye, cool. I'm into that. I love Parks and Rec. Awesome show.
Real good. Real good.
Aye.
So I look forward to that.
Totally. I'll watch that. And I follow us on the socials and stuff. And join our Discord, and other stuff. Subscribe to the channel.
Yeah. Which we'll try and add new content on there as time passes. We'll see.
Aye. If you've got ideas about what you want us to talk about, or if you want to be a guest on the podcast, get in touch. Because Yej will be busy sometime.
Occasionally I'm busy.
Aye. So there you go.
that's a whole slot.
You heard it here first. Occasionally I'm busy.
Right. Damn it.
We're actually going to need to contact the Hemsworth brothers, see if they're actually available. It's going to be horrific.
Maybe we could get John Krasinski.
Sure. Man,
you're watching his Good News.
No, I don't
YouTube.
No. I didn't realise.
A Good News show called Some Good News.
Jeez.
Aye, it's great.
Is it just him or?
Aye, his intro sequence is the best thing I've ever seen. He's got a globe, and it's just spinning, and then he lowers down some good SGN thing, and he has to keep the globe spinning. Aye, it's awesome.
Sure,
and he just
string special effects.
Aye, and he just has kind of good news stories for around the world that he's fun, or that people have tweeted him and stuff.
Aye.
Aye.
That's pretty special.
I'll have to check that out.
Aye, it's good. It's worth a watch. Aye. But aye, thank you everybody, and we'll see you.
Maybe next week.
See you next week, maybe.
Maybe
a weekly podcast.
Maybe.
Maybe not.
I mean.